I think most coaches, head coaches in particular, would tell you that recruiting is the lifeblood of your program, and thus it's very, very vital. And I think like most coaches would tell you, we're extremely excited about the two young men, that we're bringing in here today. A couple thank yous that I want to do before we get going here. First and foremost to our staff, Jaden Olson, Eric Henderson, Freddie Coleman, and Casey Matthews. I was an assistant for a while, and make no mistake, there's so much legwork that they do in identifying the talent, building the relationships with not only the talent but the family, the visits that are needed to be set up. There's a lot of legwork that goes into it. I'm very, very appreciative of our staff for that too. The other thing, and I don't know if I've done this in the past, but I want to make sure to thank the families of the recruits that we're going to sign today. I think sometimes we take this for granted, 24/7, 365. Recruiting, again, is your lifeblood. And for these families, a lot of times it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And they're learning as you grow and appreciate, the patience, the understanding of what goes into it and the ins and outs of about an inch or inch and a half thick rule book that we have from the NCAA. It's all part of it. And, again, appreciate the understanding and allowing us to, spend very, very influential 4 or 5 years of lives with their young men too. To speak in particular about the two young men, I think a lot of questions have been coming up lately as far as the rules and how they're changing, and we feel very excited about these two young men and how they fit into that. Both guys that have good size, 6'1" to 6'3", and very much ball skills, and I think both of them are very offensive oriented. Cam in particular is a good defender. Seth will continue to become a better defender. But as you look at the way the game is going to be played and going to be called throughout the next course of the years, we think both of these two will fit our style very well. Cameron Hunter from Olathe East High School in Olathe, Kansas. Another a little bit bigger, maybe 6'1" point guard in that mold of Lawrence Alexander, 6'1" to 6'2". He'll continue to get stronger, needs to continue to get stronger. Comes from great bloodlines, with his father Cedric being an All-American at Kansas and having a lot of success there. Very, very unselfish young man. For him to average a little over 5 assists last year as a junior is great. And a team that they have, I know, high expectations for their senior year. And again, we are excited to watch Cameron here this year, and then obviously get him here next summer. And then Seth Cota. I sat down with Seth and his family, multiple times, in a very, very unique situation and a different evaluation process. I can say this publicly now, and I've said it to him. There's just Seth's game, it doesn't translate a whole lot into measurables, but what he does is he puts the ball in the hole at a high level. I think for the last 2 years as a sophomore and as a junior, he's attempted, I think almost 200 threes in both of those years, which will be fun and exciting to a lot of fans. But he shot it at 48 and 49%. That's a high level. And it was fun to watch him, in particular on the AAU circuit, against some teams that didn't know who he was. And he could have 12 in the first 5 minutes until the scouting report was on him. And he'll continue to develop. What I've been pleased with his progress is he's been able to put the ball on the floor better and better every time we've seen him. And he's also, not maybe quite my height at 6'4", 6'5", but, in between kind of Freddie and I at that 6'2", 6'3" range. And that's exciting as we've been fortunate of our league to have some good length on the wing and perimeter too. So I'll answer any other questions.
How rewarding is it to be recruiting these guys now as the head coach and kind of building your brand here?
It's rewarding, make no mistake. And again, I'll go back and touch on it with the assistant coaches. I think they do so much. They do so much of the legwork, getting them prepped on this and that, the community, the college, the academic background, our style of play. And then, as Coach Miles would say, you're a little bit of the closer as the head coach. A lot of times you're just trying not to screw it up. But it is nice, when someone does commit to us, when a family does commit to us, especially – again, I think we sell it a little bit different. We don't promise anything. We promise, I take that back. We promise 2 things. It's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done, and it's going to be the most fun. And there's no guarantees of playing time. There's no guarantees of minutes or this and that. And so when a young man or a family commits to us on that premise, it's really exciting.
Having so many young players on this year's squad, you obviously had fewer scholarships to fill. What is it like? Is it any different recruiting fewer players?
Maybe makes it a little bit easier. You're not spread as wide, but you know we've had a tremendous amount of success from recruiting inside out. You could say we maybe went a little bit farther out with Cameron being a Kansas kid, with some different connections, you know, that we had within the game and within our staff. But I still think it goes back to no matter if you need like Marn 7 or us, you know, 2 this year, you still got to get the right ones, and you got to do your homework to make sure you've got the right person, you know, a willing student and obviously a talented player.
Dave, you went into Kansas for the first time. Is this an area you think that could be fruitful down the road?
Yeah, you know, you go back to one of my first years here with Coach Miles. Lorenzo Riley, you know, was a Kansas kid. So, you know, it's been a while since we've been back there. We felt like we continued to. Anytime you lose a 4-year starting point guard and the all-time winningest player, and I think all coaches would tell you, you want to be strong and deep at that point guard position. You know, we were going to make sure, you know, we were covered there. We feel very excited about, you know, who we have in our program, but continuing to add the right depth. So we were a little bit looking for that position, and some connections arose, and we're able to see Cameron this summer, and it just progressed actually pretty quickly, and very excited about him.
Coach, you got some guys on your team now that can shoot the ball pretty well, but knockdown shooters don't grow on trees. I know you talked about Seth's ability to put it on the deck, but is he that knockdown shooter that every coach covets?
Yeah, I think he's got the ability to. You know, he's done it. He's done it at a high level in high school and a very good level. The top level in Minnesota, which is to me is very good basketball, Minnetonka High School. He did it in the AAU circuit, you know, which we were pleased to see. And he really spaces the floor. And to us, you look at some guys that we're very excited about the 2015 class for us. You know, the floor is going to be spaced, and teams are going to have to make some decisions. Are you going to double here or double there? And if you are, I think we've got some guys with the ability to make you pay. If you're not going to double, you know, to the post or to certain mid-post areas, I think there's some one-on-one matchups that we feel are very favorable for us. But again, it's about getting that talent and working them and getting them better every day. Thank you.